Well, Jake, where is your mind at with last week's game and kind of what have you been seeing on tape lately?
Well, I think first off, just like every other Monday, a new opportunity awaits. By the time we get to this point in the day, we've flushed it, we've moved on, we've gotten the learns, and when you believe in a process and you believe in being 1-0, you just stay high to the standard and you keep working. Watching the tape, just like we sit up here and say every week, there's plenty of things to learn from, to grow from, to hang our hat on and get better on. But there's also a lot of things that we need to do to change to win football games on the road in this league. And sometimes you learn that the hard way, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I give them a lot of credit. They came in with a complete game plan that got us off track, and it was unbalanced, and they got us in a certain set of rules and checks that, it's hard to combat a little bit, but as coaches, we need to do a better job of that, But I just think, the strain, the effort, the angles in tackling, to me, defense is always about shedding blocks and running angles, period. I don't care what scheme you're in. Can you get off blocks? Can you run angles to make tackles? And that's not up to the standard that we need to play good defense, right? So we win as a team, we lose as a team. We've always talked about that. And our best is still out there. So let's go chase it, and we got another opportunity this week.
I remember talking to you earlier in the season, and I asked you when you first became a head coach, having to kind of give up the defensive side of the ball, and you said that was kind of hard for you at first, but you're kind of getting better at it now. I'm curious, like with giving up 38 in a row for the third, you're 38 or more for the third game in a row. Do you feel any need to kind of reel back in some of those reins on defense, or kind of what does that look like for you?
Well, I think, I always feel that need sometimes, right? But I think this week, I'm going to be heavily involved in the game planning. Normally I spread my time between both sides of the ball and equally in special teams, and, I'm going to be through every phase of it and trying to find an edge. And that isn't a panic thing. That's just something where I feel like I can be an asset at this moment and trying to find ways to be better and more solutions and more attacking. And, I think we've just gotten stuck on a few things. So to find ways to get over that hump, I think it's necessary at this time.
So online, a lot of spaces, a lot of fans are asking whether this question has any merit or not. What happened during that bye week? And basically, I guess, how would you explain the last 4 weeks to fans who may be confused of, 4-0 team to start, now it's 4-4. What does that look like to you, and how do you fix that?
Well, I think first and foremost, I understand the criticism. I can take criticism. I get that. And I understand the seat that I sit in and the responsibility that I have to getting the team ready, first and foremost. I've always said, we can beat anybody if we don't beat ourselves. And there's been a series of things throughout the course of these games that we haven't executed on our end to go out there and win. And, whether it's UCLA, we're getting some of the stops and takeaways and not scoring, or obviously the last 3 weeks haven't been getting the stops, right? So there's a balanced attack to winning football games, and I think that's very important. The adversity is real, whether it's adversity of losing, adversity of success. I don't know at first if we handled success the way we needed to. But at the end of the day, we just keep believing in a 1-0 process and resetting it and attacking a new mission every week. So that is what our team is about. I think there's been some injuries that have come into play, but that's with everybody around this league. And you got to be ready to go. 3 of those games have been on the road. It's tough to win on the road in this league. And we have to be better, period. And I think that's top to bottom. That's coaching. That's putting our guys in the right situations to execute, right? We talk about execution, but the plan and putting our guys in the right situation is the biggest part of that. The players making sure energy and effort levels are right on game day, and then we're straining to finish. So there's been some tight football games that we haven't been able to get over the hump on, but there's still time left in the hourglass, and we still have an opportunity to finish strong this season.
What have you learned about your own head coaching style this year?
Well, I think people forget too, we're still in year 2 of building this program. I really mean that. And we've had some successes along the way. Obviously we've had some results we haven't been positive on, but when I first took over and sat in this seat, I said we need to rebuild this program. And I know that's a hard word. That really is, for everyone to understand the challenges of recruiting in the last 3 years in the landscape. Okay, and also how it has changed quickly, right? Okay, the team that's coming in this week is probably the only team in our league that we're on pace with NIL with, right? Us and Stanford. Everyone else blows the door out of the water with us, right? And the landscape is changing rapidly, right? So as all of us, we got to keep up with that to make sure that we're where we need to be competitively, right? So I just think as we keep going and keep building, it's going to take us a little bit of time to keep recruiting and building a program the way we want to, the right way, because the portal is challenging, and we got to find a way to find guys that we can develop through the high school process.
Coach, obviously you want your guys out there competing each and every day when they take the practice field, when they're playing the games. But 0-4, momentum's a big thing in sports. How hard is it to turn that corner, or is it just got to see the ball go in? And
it just takes one. It just takes one. And we talked about that this morning too. We felt the same way going into Arizona State with that opportunity. So it does. It just takes one to get back and get that feeling back. We talked about it this morning. 5 weeks ago, we were on top of the world, and that team's still sitting in that room, right? So why did your belief change, or why would it change? As soon as you let doubt creep in, now you don't trust your assignment. Now you're not doing your job. Now you're not executing to the best of your ability, right? You're searching plays. And yes, I do believe that's what happened, especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? Defense is about doing your job and owning every piece of it, because you can't do it alone. So I think it's just getting back to some of the basics of trusting each other and doing your job.
And then do you have an update on Nakia? It looked like, he went down there late in the game, but...
Yeah, just like everything else, I meet with Spoon after this. I do know it wasn't broken, so I think we feel positive about hopefully seeing his return.
I wanted to go back to kind of what you said about the NIL, the race, and playing against Stanford. Is this a game that kind of shows where you guys are at in the Pac-12, or what kind of a game is this going to be on Saturday?
I think it's just two hungry teams that are trying to get a win. They're now settled in on their quarterback, and I think that has really improved their team. And obviously they're scoring a lot of points here lately, and it's against good competition. So I think it's two teams that are hungry to get a win that, we want to get to a bowl game. That is the standard here, right? We have enough talent to do those things, right? So I think it's them trying to improve their program and us trying to do the same thing. So it isn't much about the Pac-12. It's about two teams are coming in 0-0 and one team's leaving with the win. And it's on our field, right? It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy. Let's go, right? And we need to have our fans in support of our football team, and we got to create a great environment that makes it hard for Stanford to play. So that's what it's about this week, more than the big, broad picture. It's just two teams going at it.
And then, like you said, that winning team's still in the locker room. The players haven't changed. Is it more of getting that team back, or is it more of changing the mentality or the effort, or I guess what is it?
I think as a coach, I think you look at every piece of it. Just like I said, sometimes it's a little bit cliche, but it's base fundamentals, it's base technique, it's base strain. It's believing when we get down that we can finish off a game and find a way. Sometimes that's just it. Even though you're not doing what you need to do defensively, you're not stopping them, you got to come back out there and just find a way to get that one stop to change the game, right? That one takeaway to change the game. So it's a momentum deal that we need to make sure as a program, I know this, we're still fighting in the same direction, and that's the way we need it to be. So we got a good football team that's coming in here, and I know maybe the record doesn't show that, but in this league, I've said it many times up here, that doesn't matter. You can throw that out the window. We're fighting to continue our season and keep playing.
Jake, kind of building off some questions that I know you've already answered here, but is there anything specific that has changed with the team from that 4-0 team that's led to this point?
No. You know what I mean? We coach the same way. We practice the same way. It's just finding a way to get it done against really good competition. That's what we haven't been able to do over the last 4 weeks, and we did that the first 4. So, there's magic to it, but taking the ball away is a big one. We haven't been able to create momentum, and create easy scores. The offense is obviously going a long, hard way. I just think the defense, that's a way to get stops. And obviously the biggest point probably the last 4 weeks has been our tackling and our angles. Like, it just continues to show up. So if we have continued problems, we got to go out on the practice field and fix it, right? So those are the things that we're focused on headed into this Stanford game. And offenses in this league are very challenging. You know, I mean that. With things you work on that you see, it's like a new offense every week. So we got to be able to adapt and communicate within our back end.
And then obviously the attention turns to Stanford now. Just what are your thoughts on that team as a whole?
Like I said, I think they're a team on the rise. You know, I think anytime you go into the season and you don't know exactly who your quarterback is, that's going to slow you down. You know, obviously 14 has been phenomenal. He reminds me of Cam-ish. He's really hard to bring down and sack. He's very accurate with the ball. They're very willing to take the ball down the field, and their scheme is really, really unique. You know, kind of under center, double wing. Coach has done a good job of just kind of getting you all different type of ways, right? So they've done a good job with that, and I think their defense is, you know, what we've seen a couple years ago from Wisconsin. That's where their coordinator came from. So a little bit familiar with how maybe they'll attack us on that side of the ball. But I think same thing. They're getting better. They're getting settled in on their players and who they are and what they can do. And I think you're seeing a team that's really hungry.
Coach, don't want to get you in trouble, but that situation at the end of the second quarter, was anyone reaching out to you from the league offices, or did you reach out to the league offices? I know you said after the game not a whole lot you can do, but
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get me in trouble. Like, we didn't do anything. You know, there isn't a 10-second runoff because they got a first down. Okay, I think in football we all realize that rule has to change, right? So, yeah, I mean, Oregon did it last year. Oregon did it again this year, you know, and obviously they did it. There's a loophole in the rule. It's evident to see, and I know everyone's scared to say feigning an injury, but that's what happened. So, you know, we report it to the national office, and they take it from there.
Is there any update on how Shaw's doing?
Shaw right now is day to day. You know, I think he's doing everything he can to possibly get back. And, you know, obviously you can see throughout the course of the game, not just in coverage, but the way he navigates and tackling and his physicality has been phenomenal this season. Like, for him to do what he's done in that realm and has really enhanced his game. And we need him back out there.
And then are you thinking Nakia's going to be out on Saturday?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Like I said, we'll see kind of how everything comes back. I think a lot of positive news there that we hope we can, you know, make sure we keep him out of contact this week and then get him back out there.
And then starting Buddha at linebacker, is that going to be a permanent move, or what's kind of the outlook on that?
You know, like I said, you can see the potential. You know, obviously as a freshman or redshirt freshman, there's always going to be growing pains, and there definitely was on Saturday. There was a lot of moving pieces. And he got, you know, eyes in the wrong spot. And, so, you know, but you also see early on a couple flashes of him running some guys down in the perimeter. So with young guys, you're going to take some positive with the negative. Same thing with Ansel. You know, Janias got out there quite a bit. Khalil, I mean, you're playing young, you're going to have some of those young guy mistakes. So anticipate him being out there a lot in a rotation, and we'll see kind of throughout the course of the week who's going to be out there to start the game.
we don't talk about special teams a whole lot, but when you were down 14, you send out Dean to get the field goal. Is that just, hey, let's get 3 points, go down by 11, live to fight another day because we get an automatic 3 points here from him?
Yeah, I mean, our specialists, and we probably don't talk about them enough at all. I appreciate you bringing that up. They've been phenomenal. Nick Haber, Colton Thieker is almost 95% touchbacks, and Dean is off to a really, really hot start, so don't talk to Dean at all. He's just in his groove. But down 14, you're in all-go situations. You really are. Unless you get in a certain situation, it was 3rd and goal from the 17, you know, the percentages of hitting that are 5%, so you want to take the points. It's not ideal. You know, the ones when we're down 11, there was a 4th and 5 that you could maybe navigate kicking the field goal at that point, and then obviously we get ourselves to a 4th and goal. That's our best shot to score and get the 2-point, and then kick it deep with the 3 timeouts. So there's a bunch of different things we were navigating at the end of that football game to try to make it happen. And, you know, we score there, get the 2-point. We still have an opportunity to kick it deep and get a stop, which we weren't able to do even after the takeaway or the turnover on downs.
So after 2 tough performances against UCLA and Arizona, we've seen Cam kind of bounce back and be kind of in his own groove the last 2 weeks. What have you seen from him in terms of his progress, and how can that be a blueprint for the rest of the team?
Yeah, and we've been talking about it lately a little bit with Cam. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I really believe that. As a pure pocket passer, a guy that's really hard to bring down. And I just think he's showing his value, not just for our offense, but for our team every game. And he's ultimate competitor. He's back on rhythm. I think that was the biggest thing on those 2 games. And Same thing. You go to the drop 8 versus the not drop 8 and the comfortability in that. And I think the Stanford team will drop a lot more to try to, take that old mold of some of the successes. But he's been quick and decisive. He's been elite with his escapability. He's been elite with taking care of the football. To throw that many times and have that few of interceptions, I mean, is as good as it gets in this country. I really, really believe that. And I think I said it before, our people probably undervalue Cam, and he's undervalued nationally. I think he's phenomenal. He's putting this team on his back, and I think he's doing really, really elite things. That's what I see from the tape, especially after 8 weeks.
Then, are you aware of any conversations the players are having in the locker room? Like, what's the general mood and what's the focus after four wins to 4 losses? How do they move forward, and how do you help the kind of the mental side of that?
Well, I think it's it hasn't been win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. It's been an avalanche of wins and an avalanche of losses. So it's back to the process. I think we got great leadership on this team. I think it's okay to be frustrated, but now what are you willing to do and how are you willing to work to get it corrected? So we've stayed together. We're keep working. We're going to come back out to practice really hard on a nice Cougs day. That's what we call Tuesday. And we're going to go attack the process. And every week, like Kobe would say this, win or loss in general, does it really matter? You got to reset yourself, either coming off a win or a loss, and go back to the process of working to get that win. So I think we've done a good job of staying course. I know sometimes that feels like coach speak a little bit, but that's the message you always have to have with a team. And I know the standard that I'm bringing, right? And the same thing with the players. We got to fight for something, right? We're fighting for each other. We're fighting for this Coug logo, and we're fighting for another opportunity to go out there and play a game you love with your brothers. Where else would you rather be? I know it's been tough. We're built for tough, right? So that's the mindset that we constantly have. And, I get this disappointment out there, but let's go win a ball game at home here and protect Gisa Field.
I got one more. Sorry. You mentioned trying to improve at tackling, which is hard to do when you want to avoid injury during the week. It's like, how close can you get to simulating live tackling when you don't want to?
There's been a couple games where it's been, I'm trying to think which one it was where we didn't wrap up. I think that was UCLA. This last game, it was all about our tracking angles in space. So you can do a lot of that stuff without contact and tagging hips. When the ball was out wide, we're running to where he's going. That backside pursuit, we call it slingshot. You can slingshot yourself to the ball and correct your angle once you get there, right? So, once again, trust the leverage player. Trust that it's going to be turned back to you, and run your angle in pursuit. And Elijah Badger is a great player, but we made him look like we couldn't tackle at all against him, right? And that was probably 4 or 5 times. So that's the biggest thing you can work in space, is working your angles. That's what tackling is. It's not just about the contact, but having the right angle in pursuit and knowing what hip you need to finish on. All right, guys, go Cougs.